Well, if you have furniture in your home that needs a facelift, but you're just not sure how to do it yourself, our What's Next series has got you covered. This week, we're taking a look at how to refinish furniture.
Hi, I'm Andrea Ford, founder of Restyle Studio. Today, we're going to refinish a piece of furniture by painting it. And we're going to start with disassembly. Remove all the drawers, take off all the hardware, and even any decorative hardware. So now we're ready to get working. The first step is safety. Make sure you're wearing gloves, also a respirator mask, and if you're doing this at home, protect your floors with a drop sheet. First step we have to do is sand. Now we need to remove this slippery clear coat finish and give the surface some grip. So we're going to use a coarse sandpaper around a 60 grit with my palm sander, and then we're going to do one more pass with a medium grit, about 160 or 180. One of my favorite tricks for dealing with detailed wood is a popsicle stick and pieces of sandpaper. I wrap the popsicle stick and then I'm able to get into the nooks and crannies of the furniture without carving away or sanding away too much of the detail. So once we've sanded our piece and given the surface a nice grip for our primer to set in, we're going to wipe everything down with a tack cloth. Now a tack cloth is a gauzy piece of fabric, but it's covered in a waxy surface, so it really grips to all of the dust and debris that you've created by sanding. So we're going to get priming. Now there are two types of primer. One is a stain blocking primer, great if you're trying to take a dark piece and turn it white or light. But then there's also an adhesive primer, really important for high traffic furniture. So we're using an adhesive primer today. My favorite type of roller is microfiber. It doesn't leave lint, it doesn't leave bubbles, and it allows the primer to self-level. So you also want to touch up any repairs, any damage to surfaces, fill any holes that you're not going to use, like some of this around here. I'm just going to spackle on a bit of wood filler. I'm going to spread it with a glue spreader. And I'm gonna fill this hole, even if I'm gonna use it again. So I'd rather fill it and have options to change my hardware later. Once it dries, I'll give it a rough sand and we'll be ready to go. We're going to sand with a very fine steel wool in between all coats, between your primer coats, between your painting coats, and even your last clear coat. Now, if you're painting to a white or very light color, you're gonna wanna use a 600 grit sandpaper because sometimes steel wool can leave streaks. So we're gonna do light coats of paint, several of them, but don't try to rush and glob too much in one coat. Again, I'm gonna use my microfiber brush with long continuous strokes. I really like to use a paint that has self-leveling properties. That way it takes out any brush strokes and doesn't leave any globs behind. Makes my job easier. So one of our last coats for high traffic furniture is a clear coat. So I'm just going to dip it in, brush off my brush, and again, long continuous strokes. You want to make sure all of your coats, primer, paint, and clear coat, dry and cure properly in between. If you don't, you'll leave scratches and dents, you'll leave marks on your furniture. So once you're finished with your clear coat, make sure it sits for a good 2 days before you attach your hardware and start enjoying it.
I learned a lot right there. Andrea Ford, the founder of Restyle, joins me now in the studio. Nice to see you. Listen, I just wanted to ask a quick question. That was, you used a very small roller. Is there a temptation for people to use one of the wide ones?
People try to speed up the process. They'll either use a giant brush and glob on tons and tons of paint, or they'll use a giant roller. So the smaller one, the better, especially for furniture.
Okay, so now you use paint there, but we have other options here.
So many options.
So we'll start, what have we got?
So this one here is bare wood. This is a poplar wood, so you can see it has a bit of a greenish tint to
Yeah.
it. So if you have a piece, they call it naked furniture. If you have something like that, you can actually use a penetrating oil. This is tung oil, T-U-N-G. It's
Right.
actually derived from a nut, penetrates and seals the wood and gives it a nice amber tone, but lets the wood grain show through.
Okay, and next to that, the blue.
This one here, if you have a piece of furniture that's already painted,
Yeah.
but you want to just add something, dry brush technique with a metallic paint.
Oh, nice.
This sets really well in carved details.
Yeah, okay, and next to that?
This is a pickling stain, so a whitewash. Again, you can do that on top of any type of furniture. It just sits on top. This one here is a chalk paint.
Yeah. What is
People
that?
love chalk paint. It's actually chalk and water.
Oh, right, okay.
So this one you can do on top of anything. You don't usually need to primer at all. You can do a sand to just rough up the surface. Put this on top, self-levels.
And the last one is?
The last one is the most intimidating. This one is a strip and stain. So if you put this on bare wood, you would need to put this on bare wood, but it's a pigment and a varathane product built in.
And just in front of us here, we have all this different hardware. We're almost out of time, but boy, hardware can make a difference, can't it?
You can just change the look of your furniture with only hardware. So from crystal to giant handles and knobs, that's all you need.
Wow, excellent. Thank you, appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Nice work, thank you, Andrea. All right, Andrea Ford, the founder of Restyle Studios in our studio right now. And if you're interested in refinishing a piece of furniture yourself, you can find instructions from Andrea on our website.